Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Whatnauts Reactor Corps. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how's it going?
Hello. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited to be here.
Hell yeah. We are going to be discussing Loki episode 2 on this one. I'm excited to dive into it. Yeah, I have to say right off the bat, I'm in love with this show. They are doing some great things. And yeah, just to reiterate my sentiment from last time when we talked about the first one, I still think this is my favorite of them. Like, they're just hitting all the right notes. And it's just like, okay, they've like, I don't want to say that like WandaVision was bad or that the Falcon and Winter Soldier was bad, because I definitely don't think so. But
they've all been strong.
Feels like they kind of finally have their footing underneath them, and you know they had WandaVision and Falcon to kind of get their feet. And so yeah, I think they are finally running on all cylinders, so to speak. There with that. But what did you think of Loki episode 2?
I liked it a lot. I liked all the places it got to go. I like that these are, even if it's only 6 episodes, the episodes are a bit longer. We get to have a variety of settings, a variety of paces. It can start kind of slow, build into something very riveting.
Yeah.
I really liked where this episode ended. I'm glad that we got where we got as soon as we got there. That this wasn't pulled out any longer than it needed to be.
It's another one of those things. I think we mentioned it last time too. It's not a mystery of like who did this, but it's like what exactly are they doing, or why are they doing it?
Yeah.
And yeah, it does make for these.
When are they doing it?
Yeah. When is Mikkel? It really helps the show to slow down and to be like, hey, we can actually have some deeper conversations here. Like, it doesn't need to be these big set piece like fight scenes and stuff like that. They can have talks about religion and stuff like that, and it's just as fascinating. Skis. Right, and jet skis. God, we need to see Owen Wilson on a jet ski by the end of this show. Please make it happen.
I sure hope so. I feel bad for these TVA employees, because based on Eugene Cordero last week, like not knowing what a fish is. Like, not just I've never seen a fish, I've never eaten fish.
Like, that's a weird thing.
Yeah, it's like, why do you not know what a fish is at all? Why is your life so singularly focused on your work that any extra knowledge is just like not permitted? You're not allowed to know animals because you don't work in a line of work with animals.
Fishes are forbidden. No fishes shall enter the premises of the TV. What did fishes do to the TVA that they just like,
who knows,
erase them out of their
yeah
memory?
Like, nobody knows what a fish is.
It's fishy.
Yeah, I hope that hope that Mobius can have some downtime. I mean, if your job is time, you must be able to make vacation time for yourself somewhere. You know, maybe you can't go gallivanting around the timeline like that's your own personal, resort, but you got to be able to go somewhere, and I hope that somewhere he gets to go includes a jet ski.
A good vacation is what he needs.
Yeah.
Right?
Episode 6, the beach episode.
There we go. So you mentioned you liked where this one ended. Let's talk about that ending. We finally, I guess I shouldn't really say finally since it's only episode 2, but we finally got the reveal of Lady Loki.
Yeah, after you've been speculating about this from trailers, it does feel like a finally. Yeah, and I'm glad that we did get this reveal at the end of episode 2. Like, this felt like the appropriate time to include that reveal.
Absolutely. And we get to see, I guess, not necessarily step one, but we see kind of what she's up to with all of these time displacement bombs. I don't know if that's exactly what they're called, but she has been slowly stealing them for something, and we don't know exactly what yet, but we see them all go off. They're all in this like futuristic superstore that she has taken as her like home base, and they all go off, and then they all like get sent to different times and places and stuff like that. And there's some interesting things to note of where they're all getting sent to in that I think we can dig into. But that's pretty much all we see, is that these bombs get sent to these different times and places. Melissa, what do you think Lady Loki is up to?
Oh, well, I loved the figuring out that she is hiding within apocalypses, and the experiment where they go to Pompeii and Loki kicks a bunch of stuff over. And Mobius is like, yeah, it's showing no variant activity. Everything's normal here. Yeah. I think that's a great narrative strategy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't know what her plan is. I don't know where she will be at the end of this. I don't think we've quite enough information yet for me to even begin to speculate on anything. I don't know when she comes from, but I like her little headband. I like her D8 with her horns.
Yeah. That looks good. I liked that a lot. I think we have two interesting details. Maybe a third one. I'll say three interesting details.
Okay.
One, I think, is this like echoing voices that we hear, and it seems like she maybe has some telepathic powers. Not certain on that, because it seems that she is responding to something Loki potentially said or thought, but it never shows him saying it out loud, and it has that strange like effect on like, ooh, it's echoey, what's going on? But yeah, she responds to that, so maybe she does have some telepathic powers. But then I think the next interesting detail is how she responds. She says, it's not about you, which could mean a couple things. You is also her, because they're the same person, so it could be about some bigger threat, like, hey, you don't understand. This is not about you. It's not about me. There is something bigger that like no one realizes yet. Or it could just be like, yeah, it's not about you. It's about me, dude. Like I'm the one who's trying to take over. You thought you were, but you're not. Like that's not actually what you're gonna do. Which then also kind of falls interestingly enough into that whole like determinism conversation or free will thing there. So those are the first two things. The third thing is the logic of these time displacement bombs. I think there's a little bit of a leap of faith here with these, because I think when they first set them up, they say, hey, we use these to kind of reset the timeline. So things that shouldn't be there, we'll set this bomb off and it will get rid of those. And then it might snag some extra things, but the timeline will correct itself. There is essentially what it does. So with this plan at the end, this is kind of what I'm interested in. If Lady Loki is sending these to all sorts of different times and locations and planets and stuff like that, and setting them off, wouldn't they not really do a thing if they're only getting rid of things that shouldn't be there?
I can't know this information like less than 12 hours after I've watched the episode, Kyle. I gotta let this stuff stew in my head for a long time.
I know what you mean, but like my first reaction was like, oh, she's setting off these bombs and it's deleting things that should be there. Like maybe because she sent one to Titan is one of the ones in there. What if she zapped Thanos out of existence? right? Yeah, so there's no more Thanos, which then means there's a diverging path and stuff like that. So I think that is ultimately what they're doing. But it goes against the logic that they set up, that like, hey, this only gets rid of things that aren't supposed to be there, which is strange. So maybe there's a different setting. Maybe she hotwired them and changed them. I don't know. It's just that's different from what they said. So
well, we don't have all the cards yet, Kyle.
We don't.
Yeah, I'm very curious about this new Loki. I love her ability to like jump her consciousness from body to body, seemingly like she can be herself. Like the way Loki can like project a duplicate. She can be herself, but project her consciousness within the body of somebody else. So yeah, fascinating. And I was listening to the new Rockstars breakdown of, well, not the full breakdown, but the initial reaction to this episode.
Yeah.
And they were theorizing, like, what if this Lady Loki form that we see isn't like the original form? There was another Tom Hiddleston looking Loki who jumped, whose like body died and had to like jump consciousnesses. And it's like, yeah, I've been in this body for like 300 years or however long a Loki lives.
Yeah, which is more along the lines of Lady Loki's comic book origins. Where, after Ragnarok and a bunch of the gods died, they had to like reincarnate and do all this stuff. So there was a body that was going to be for Lady Sif, and yet Loki, his soul got in there, or his like consciousness.
Yoink.
So it might be that, we don't know.
I like how open Loki is to all possible people that could be him. Like he sees all these other Loki variants. People look different from him. Lokis look more like creatures. One of the Lokis that you're seeing in that like TVA flip through of alternate dimensions, it looks like he's wearing like a cycling jersey. Like it's just athlete Loki. Yeah. I find that interesting. Loki's like, any of them could be me. Like he's
France, yeah,
like he's never shocked or disgusted or anything at other Lokis. He's like, that's as valid
Loki
as
Armstrong.
I am right now.
Yeah, Loki Armstrong. There's some interesting stuff like that they all have different power sets, or they might just be slightly different. It's all still, he's mischievous, and that is his like end of the day. That's who he is. But like you said, maybe she has some telepathic powers. We're not sure yet.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the Timekeepers themselves.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one. We still haven't seen them. We got this detail that Mobius hasn't seen them yet. So he's interestingly, and like he says it jokingly, maybe kind of flirtingly. Like it seems like he's maybe flirting with Renslayer just a little bit. Or maybe he is concerned about this. Like, who is this other analyst that you keep mentioning? Which I think can be read both ways there, of like, if I were to go to my girlfriend and be like, hey, what about your other boyfriend over there when you spend on Saturday nights, right? Huh? Like it seems to be a little teasing and familiar.
Yeah, like I do like their dynamic a lot. It seems like, I don't know if it's romantic, but maybe there's like, we are best pals. Like we're the person the other person always comes to when they need to vent, when they want to share something. Maybe they're like work spouses. And he's like, do you have another work husband besides me?
That I don't know about, yeah. We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you would check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/The Whatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/the Whatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today. But yeah, it also does really feel like she's holding a secret, especially when it comes to the Timekeepers. What are you thinking so far on the Timekeepers? Who do you think they are? What are they doing? I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, it's the image we have of them are like three big celestial beings with their arms out, just like delicately braiding this beautiful timeline. And like, what types of beings are they? How corporeal are they? Where in space and time would they exist? Are they just in a room in a building somewhere in the TVA? How do you get to them?
Or whatever that floor was that was like
yeah, they're hidden. They're hidden in one level of that giant Atlanta hotel where they film the elevator shots. I don't know. Again, there's so many branching pathways. There's so many variant opportunities, Kyle. I can't narrow it down quite yet. But it does seem like, there is something she's hiding, that she is some sort of secret keeper. Who knows if she's even seen him at all? Maybe this is just sort of a tale that gets passed along from like person to person. Like, well, you're not going to see the Timekeepers, but trust me, I saw them once in my early days. Now I pass the job on to you, and you don't call the Timekeepers. The Timekeepers call you. Maybe she's like, I've never seen him. I don't know. Like,
they might not exist. Period.
Yeah.
Because like that's the thing. I think especially when it gets into that conversation that Loki and Mobius have on free will versus determinism, they go into a little bit of like religious talk of like, well, hey, the TVA is my life. Like that's all I've done.
Yeah.
So there's this maybe even hints that did the Timekeepers create the members of the TVA? Like,
this is what I'm wondering. Yes. Like, are they people who are like from human parents somewhere? It seems like they are all human. Like, we've seen like a Skrull, but I think those are just like people who are brought into the TVA. Like, those are those are the troublemakers.
Criminal time crime.
Seems like we have exclusively human employees so far. Like, are they from like parents on Earth somewhere? Did they just like sign up for a job ad on like Space
Craigslist?
Indeed? Yeah, and now they're just here. Now they're just company people. Like, were they born in some sort of a TVA town community? Are they just like plucked out of the ether? What is their origin?
It's interesting because I mean he basically says, I've given my whole life to them, and I believe in them, therefore it's real to me.
Yes.
And Loki is like, look, I'm a god. Like there is like no one above me and all of that stuff. He thinks he can do what he wants. So he has this idea that he has free will. And so this whole thing of like, oh, all of time is written out doesn't really sit well with him there. But yeah, it could be that they don't exist. It could be that they do exist, but just not in the form that we think. What if they're computers? What if they are? What if it's Armin Zola?
It's all Zolas.
It's all Zola. He's in a new computer.
This is what I'm
kidding.
This is what I'm wondering. Like, if the Timekeepers are these beings outside of time, I don't know. Like, we're watching Dark right now. Dark is a show about time loops where it turns out that there's two versions of the same person in the same timeline, because when you're young, you go back and you get stuck in time, and then you age, and so old you and young you exist at the same time because you're still alive when you're born. How do we know that's not happening with like the Timekeepers? It's like, you can't see the Timekeeper because I can't prove you're not one. What if it is just a very old Owen Wilson in a cloak, and that's why, regular aged Owen Wilson can't see him?
Wilson and what's her name? That main time cop person
B-15.
They are. Yeah, B-15? What if it's those three? Because those are really the only other characters that we have, really.
Yeah.
Except
the cast
for,
is it's them.
Two smaller ones, but
yeah. Cast is small. Something exciting about this to me, I'm excited to go throughout all of time and space. You know, we still have places to go. We still see President Loki in the Polybius game. Yeah. With the cliffhanger that C20, you know, revealed to Lady Loki the location of the TVA, or like how to find it. Seems like Lady Loki could attack there, could have an ambush there. I'm excited to just have more action within the TVA itself. Yes, you've got the ability to zap throughout time and space. It's very cool. I've never seen a setting like this before. I could spend 6 episodes in the TVA alone. I just want to be there.
It's like the video game Control, where the whole game is like inside this one building, and it's this very like the architecture style is this like all concrete brutalism. Just it looks like a really sad, depressing building. But then for the TVA, you get inside and it's that, but sci-fi. Like, what if it's just like thousands of stories tall? Like, what if it's so big that there's like cities inside it and statues? Like, what is going on in the air?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see what that means. I'm excited to see what it's real means. Like, she kept repeating, like, it's real. Yeah. It's real. What did that mean? What is real? Is there some, because we've seen like we've heard about these timekeepers, whoever they are, whoever they might be. Is there a threat? Is there this boogeyman threat that like is out there that we haven't heard about yet, that all of the TVA time cops are like, oh, it's the boogeyman king, the Conqueror's gonna get you one of these days, right? And then she like she sees it and is just like, fuck, it's real. Like
right.
Yeah, wow.
The phrase "it's real," we could come up with a they, a he, a she. Like, I don't know what it could refer to. Maybe it's Polybius.
Yeah,
Polybius is real.
Polybius is Kang the Conqueror. Yeah, who knows?
He's just gonna climb out of that arcade screen. I hope we see Kang. That'd be fun. Yeah. I don't know if you've to briefly mention it. We're reading a Dr. Doom comic for the review show, one of our other podcasts this week. Kang shows up. It was fun. It was fun to meet Kang.
There you go. That's the Dr. Doom series written by Chris Cantwell. If you guys can go check that out.
It's great so far.
Available on
which is also
Unlimited.
Yeah, and also, again, I don't know where you are in the story yet, but part of it is that Doom is there's a storyline about Doom using technology to prevent natural disasters and to do sort of like a benevolent weather control. Like, the greatest act of humanitarianism I could ever do is to just make sure, like, I'm not going to step in and rebuild after a hurricane. I'm going to make sure there are no hurricanes. So to be reading that at the same time we're watching this episode where Lady Loki's hiding out in apocalypses, which are so often natural disasters. That's what they're looking for. It can't be a disaster where there was some sort of like a human cause for it, like an action for it. So I don't think she'd get to go to the Boston molasses flood. That was a disaster I was really hoping to see in the show, maybe season 2. But yeah, they go to like wildfires and floods and this hurricane that's one of the centerpieces of the episode. That's very scary. It's very intense. And I'm like, beans, I wish Dr. Doom was here. Could have stopped all of these. Then where would she hide?
Interesting stuff to think about. Besides the timekeepers, who may or may not be real or what we think they are, Miss Minutes. Miss Minutes is interesting. We got a new look at her that is fascinating, where she is this like hologram projection, but we're not really sure if she is a hologram. Like, what is she?
Yeah, we presume that she was a fiction. She's a Mr. DNA that they animated to put in this video. She's like their mascot. They put her on posters and stuff. But then okay, she's like your Clippy. She's your training assistant. You know, she's a hologram. Sure, she pops out the computer. When she's interacting with Loki and sort of reacting to him and jumping around when he's trying to like bat at her, she has taken on a unique form of life. I am unsure what sort of entity Miss Minutes may be. I'm delighted that this is a question at all. I thought she was just going to be like a Mr. DNA.
Same.
Hopefully the Jurassic World franchise takes a page from this book and Mr. DNA is a character in an upcoming film.
There you go. Yeah, it's an interesting thing to think about, especially when we don't know if the Timekeepers are real or if they're not, or are they aliens, or are they computers, or are they some man-made thing? We don't know. And yeah, there is this weird, is Miss Minutes somehow one of the Timekeepers? And this is just like the form that one of them can take that is like acceptable to human life.
You can't. You cannot process my true image. You can process a small clock with eyelashes.
Yeah, like when you think about like biblical stuff, all the examples of angels appearing to humans, all of the humans are terrified, and every single time the first thing they say is "Do not be scared," and it's just this with like that means that their appearance is frightening. Like it is something that we are terrified of. And yeah, I wonder if that's the same kind of thing with these Timekeepers. Who knows? I'm on the train that they are like artificial intelligences, or these like really old beings that are just like decrepit and just like we can't really do anything. And
you can't see them because they're too old. They're just
they're like
withered.
hooked up to like all these machines and stuff to like
it's
artificially
frightening.
keep them going.
They're withered. They're only skeletons, Owen Wilson. You'd be scared. It's too scary, Mobius. They're 3 skeletons.
Or we just watched Dimension 404 on Hulu for the review show, one of our cast that we do here at the Whatnauts, and there was one where they have the similar artificial intelligence that is like creating things. What if it's something like that, where it's just a giant brain the size of 3 stories in the Timekeeper society thing that they got going on there? Who knows?
Then maybe those 3 statues are them. We don't know. That's not a representation of them. That is them.
All we have left. Who knows? Who knows? Indeed.
Before we start wrapping up, I do want to shout out again the music in this episode, killing it. We got theremin. I believe this is the MCU's first use of theremin. I was so excited, and I really hope that theremin, my new favorite character, returns.
There you go. Good stuff indeed. Yeah, I'm enjoying this so much. I still have no idea where this is going, where this will end up. Yeah, this is the one that I'm just like, they've changed the game so much, I feel like, for things that could happen in the MCU. Like seeing their like screen of like, here's the sacred timeline, and then the bombs go off, and then like all of these timelines start like branching off. My first reaction was that's the multiverse of madness. This is how it starts. Yeah,
the madness begins.
My second thing is, well, what if that's what the What If show is about? It's about like looking into all of these different timelines and multiverses that Lady Loki started. Because like that would be a neat connection of like, hey, did you see Loki? And if not, it's just well, what if Sharon Carter was Captain America instead, right? Like you don't need to know anything else. But I don't know.
Yeah, I would
good stuff.
I would love to learn how the Timekeepers interact with the Watchers.
Yeah, that would be interesting indeed. Final thoughts on Loki episode 2.
it's great. I love all these settings we're going to. I think it's got some very interesting mysteries it's building up. Great character stuff. I love just like the long dialogue scenes in the show between Loki and Mobius, or between Mobius and Renslayer. Yeah, it's got a lot going for it. And then the style of the whole thing. Goodness, I could just live in this. If this wasn't a show, if it was just a series of screensavers, I'd be so happy even then.
Sure. Yeah. There you go. I think this show is neat because we are starting to get to see. I don't want to say a different side of Loki, but one that I think didn't get to be explored as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are seeing him try to manipulate his way to do things any way he can, and that's going from him being like, "Oh, I'm the cocky expert. I know this. I'm the superior Loki," to him being like all chipper and like, "I have a great idea. What if we do this?" And but if we do it like that, to him like actually starting to care about the work that the TV, or not care about the work that they do, but like get invested in this thing.
Yeah.
And really start to be like, this is bigger than I thought. And how do I manipulate my way through this? Am I the one who needs to manipulate my way through this? I don't know. I think we're just seeing different sides of Loki that we haven't got much of yet. So good stuff. I'm excited. I cannot wait for next week for number 3 to check all of that stuff out. But Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities.
There you go. If you guys want to stay up to date with me, I'm at YoKyleSpringer on Twitter. And if you guys want to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are on Twitter at the Whatnauts. So go like, share, subscribe, do all of that stuff. That would be wonderful. And with that, we will see you all next week. Bye.
Bye.